In the quiet corners of our minds, away from the hustle and bustle of daily life, there exists a profound truth waiting to be discovered, a truth that has guided countless individuals toward inner peace and harmony for centuries. Buddhist teachings offer a gentle yet powerful perspective on how to navigate the complexities of life, and they begin with a simple yet radical idea: when you stop trying to control everything, life begins to flow naturally. Imagine a world where worry, that constant companion that whispers fears of what might go wrong, no longer holds you captive. Picture yourself stepping out of the cage of anxiety, where the future you've been dreading fades away, and in its place, you find the calm and strength you've always had within. This is the promise of Buddhist wisdom, a path that invites you to release your grip on the illusion of control and embrace the natural rhythm of life. But why is it that we cling so tightly to control in the first place? It's a question that echoes through the corridors of our minds as we navigate the uncertainties of existence. We're taught from a young age that control equals safety, that planning and micromanaging every aspect of our lives will shield us from harm. Yet this very control often becomes the source of our suffering. It's like trying to hold water in your palm. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. Buddhist teachings challenge this notion head-on. They invite us to recognize that fear, the root of so much worry and anxiety, is not just an emotion but a lens through which we view the world. When we allow fear to take root in our minds, it distorts our reality, making us see threats where there are none, and pushing us toward the very outcomes we fear. But here's the empowering part. We are the gardeners of our inner landscape. We have the choice to plant seeds of fear or seeds of calm and nurture whichever we choose. This journey into Buddhist wisdom begins with an invitation to pause, to breathe, and to question the thoughts that fuel our panic. It's about shifting our attention away from fear and toward presence, to the here and now. Because in this moment, right now, you are okay. The future you've been worrying about hasn't arrived yet, and it may never. By returning to the present, you weaken the grip of anxiety and start to remember that peace isn't something you have to search for, it's already within you. As we delve deeper into these teachings, we'll explore how surrendering control isn't about giving up but about discovering true strength. We'll learn that anxiety belongs to tomorrow and peace belongs to now. We'll uncover the burden of imagined fears and how much of what we worry about never even happens. And we'll come to understand that control blocks faith, and it's by letting go that we create space for life to unfold in its own mysterious and beautiful way. So take a deep breath. Let go of the weight that was never yours to carry. Soften the grip, release the fear, and allow space for life to reveal its wisdom. Because when you stop interfering, life begins to work not against you, but with you. And in that space of surrender and trust, you'll find something extraordinary, a life of clarity, peace, and deeper purpose. Lesson 1. Fear is a seed. In the vast landscape of Buddhist wisdom, one teaching stands out with profound simplicity. Fear is not merely an emotion, but a powerful seed that, when planted and nurtured, grows into a reality that can consume our lives. This lesson invites us to examine the nature of fear, understand its impact on our perception and actions, and discover how we can transform this potent energy into a source of clarity and peace. The nature of fear. Fear is a natural human emotion, an evolutionary mechanism designed to protect us from danger. However, in the modern world, fear often strays from its protective role and becomes a distortive lens through which we view life. According to Buddhist thought, the energy we carry within, whether fear, love, anger, or joy, shapes our external reality. Fear isn't just a fleeting feeling, it's a perspective that colors every aspect of our experience. When fear takes root in our minds, it begins to grow, influencing our thoughts, decisions, and actions. It's like a gardener tending to a plant. The more attention and energy we give to fear, the more it flourishes. The irony is that the very fear we hold often manifests the very outcomes we dread. This isn't because the world is against us, but because fear alters our behavior in ways that push us toward the very thing we fear. Fear as a self-fulfilling prophecy. Consider the example of fear of losing your job. When this fear arises, it doesn't simply sit idle in your mind. Instead, it seeps into your actions. You may hesitate to take initiatives, second-guess your decisions, or shrink from opportunities. This anxiety clouds your judgment, leading you to withdraw or perform below your potential. Before long, the fear you harbored begins to materialize in your reality, not because fate decreed it, but because fear shaped your actions and responses. The same dynamic plays out in relationships. Fear of abandonment can make us cling too tightly or doubt our partners, creating tension and pushback. The fear we hold within manifests in our behavior, pushing others away and fulfilling our initial fear. It's a shunhuan that feeds on itself, growing stronger with each cycle. The mind as soil. Buddhism draws a powerful analogy between the mind and soil. Soil doesn't discriminate. It will nurture whatever seed is planted within it, whether it's a seed of fear or a seed of calm. You are the gardener of your mind, and you have the power to choose which seeds take root and grow. This doesn't mean denying or suppressing fear, but rather becoming aware of it and consciously shifting your focus. When fear arises, instead of allowing it to dominate your thoughts, you can pause, breathe, and ask yourself, is this thought helping me build peace, or is it feeding panic? By doing so, you begin to disrupt the cycle of fear and create space for more constructive perspectives. The power of presence. Fear thrives in the realm of the unknown, the what-ifs and what might go wrong that occupy our minds. It pulls us out of the present moment and into a future that doesn't yet exist. However, Buddhist teachings remind us that peace resides in the now. When you feel fear rising, gently bring your attention back to the present moment. Notice your breath, the sensations in your body, and the world around you. In this moment, you are okay. The future you fear hasn't arrived, and it may never. By repeatedly returning to the present, you weaken fear's grip and strengthen your connection to inner peace. Cultivating a new inner landscape. The journey of transforming fear begins with awareness. Start by observing your thoughts without judgment. When fear arises, acknowledge it, but don't become consumed by it. Ask yourself, am I focusing on what steps actually happening, or am I creating a story about what might happen? Shift your attention to what you can control in the present moment. If you're afraid of failing at a task, focus on taking small, actionable steps rather than worrying about the outcome. By doing so, you're planting seeds of calm and empowerment in your mind. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation and mindful breathing, can be invaluable tools. They help you develop the capacity to observe your thoughts without becoming entangled in them. Over time, you'll find that fear loses its power to dominate your experience. The ripple effect of fear. Fear isn't just a personal struggle. It has a ripple effect that extends to our relationships and communities. When we're consumed by fear, we may become reactive, defensive, or withdrawn, impacting those around us. By learning to manage and transform our fear, we not only improve our own well-being, but also contribute to a more harmonious environment. Consider how your fear might be influencing your interactions with others. Are you projecting uncertainty or doubt? By releasing fear and embracing presence, you create space for more authentic and positive connections. Embracing fear as a teacher. Interestingly, Buddhist teachings don't suggest that fear should be eliminated entirely. Instead, fear can be viewed as a teacher, a signal that something within us needs attention. When fear arises, it's an opportunity to explore what lies beneath it. What are you truly afraid of? What vulnerability is being exposed? By examining fear with curiosity rather than resistance, you can uncover deeper truths about yourself and your needs. This process of self-inquiry transforms fear from a source of suffering into a guide toward greater self-awareness and growth. The path forward. Transforming fear into peace is a journey, not a destination. It requires patience, practice, and self-compassion. Here are some steps to help you on this path. Pause and breathe. When fear arises, take a moment to pause and breathe deeply. This simple act can interrupt the cycle of fear and bring you back to the present. Question your thoughts. Ask yourself if the thoughts fueling your fear are based on reality or imagination. Often, fear is rooted in hypothetical scenarios rather than actual events. Practice mindfulness. Regular meditation or mindful breathing can help you develop greater awareness of your thoughts and emotions. Focus on what you can control. Direct your energy toward actions you can take in the present rather than dwelling on uncertain futures. Cultivate gratitude. Shifting your focus to what you're grateful for can counterbalance fear and create a more positive inner landscape. Conclusion. Fear is a powerful force, but it doesn't have to control your life. By understanding fear as a seed that grows when nurtured, you can begin to take charge of your inner world. Through awareness, presence, and mindful action, you can transform fear into a source of clarity and peace. Remember that you are the gardener of your mind, and with each conscious choice, you can cultivate a landscape of tranquility and joy. The path begins with a single step, a step toward acknowledging fear, understanding it, and choosing a different way to respond. Lesson 2. True strength lies in surrender. In our fast-paced, achievement-oriented world, strength is often equated with control. We're conditioned to believe that to succeed, we must dominate every aspect of our lives, planning meticulously, executing flawlessly, and never backing down. Yet, Buddhist wisdom offers a counterintuitive perspective that challenges this conventional notion of strength. It teaches us that true power doesn't lie in our ability to control but in our capacity to surrender. This lesson invites us to explore the profound transformative power of surrender and how it can lead us to a more peaceful, authentic, and fulfilling life. The illusion of control. Our modern society reveres control as the ultimate safeguard against uncertainty and suffering. We're taught to manage our time, control our environments, and manipulate outcomes to secure our happiness and security. But beneath this veneer of control often lies a fragile foundation of fear, the fear of failure, the fear of the unknown, the fear of not being enough. We cling to control as a way to insulate ourselves from these fears, believing that if we can just manage every variable, we can avoid pain and secure lasting happiness. But life, in all its unpredictable beauty, constantly reminds us that control is an illusion. No matter how carefully we plan or how tightly we grip, life has a way of introducing unforeseen circumstances that disrupt even the most meticulous arrangements. The COVID-19 pandemic served as a stark reminder of this truth, upending lives and plans worldwide and revealing how vulnerable our carefully constructed systems of control truly are. Buddhist teachings recognize that our attachment to control stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of reality. We operate under the delusion that we are separate from the world around us and that through our willpower alone, we can shape reality to our desires. Yet, this separation is an illusion. We are interconnected with all of life, and our attempts to exert control often disrupt the natural flow of this interconnectedness. Surrender as sacred release. Surrender, in the Buddhist context, is not about passivity or resignation. It's not about giving up in the face of difficulty, but rather about releasing our attachment to outcomes and trusting in the natural wisdom of life. Surrender is a proactive choice to align ourselves with the rhythms of existence rather than fighting against them. When we surrender, we acknowledge the limits of our control and open ourselves to possibilities beyond our limited perspective. It's a recognition that life has its own intelligence, its own timing, and its own way of unfolding. By releasing our need to dominate every situation, we create space for this natural intelligence to emerge and guide us toward growth and transformation. The water analogy beautifully illustrates this principle. Imagine holding water in your cupped hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster the water slips through your fingers. But when you relax your grip and hold your hands open, the water remains. Similarly, in life, when we cling too tightly to our ideas, desires, and expectations, we often push away the very things we seek. By softening our grip and surrendering to the flow, we allow life to move through us in ways we couldn't have anticipated or controlled. The paradox of strength and surrender. Surrender doesn't weaken us. It empowers us. It requires immense courage and inner strength to let go of our need for control and trust in something greater than ourselves. It asks us to confront our deepest fears and insecurities and to step into the unknown with faith and openness. When we surrender, we release the energy we've been expending in fruitless efforts to control outcomes. This energy returns to us, restoring our vitality and clarity. Our minds become less cluttered with worry and anxiety, allowing us to see opportunities and solutions that were previously obscured by our fixation on control. We become more present, more attuned to the needs of the moment, and more capable of responding authentically and effectively. Moreover, surrender invites grace into our lives. When we step aside and allow life to flow naturally, we create space for synchronicities, unexpected blessings, and serendipitous encounters. We become receptive to the wisdom and guidance that surrounds us, but often goes unnoticed when we're preoccupied with controlling every detail. Practicing surrender in daily life. Surrender isn't an abstract concept to be contemplated, but a practice to be integrated into our daily lives. It begins with cultivating awareness of the ways in which we cling to control and the anxiety that arises from this clinging. Here are some practical ways to embody the practice of surrender. Mindfulness meditation. Regular mindfulness meditation helps us develop the capacity to observe our thoughts and emotions without becoming entangled in them. By sitting quietly and focusing on our breath, we learn to witness the arising of the need for control and the fear that underlies it. We can then choose to release these thoughts rather than acting on them. Meditation also strengthens our connection to the present moment, where surrender naturally occurs. The practice of non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean indifference, but rather a healthy detachment from outcomes. We can take inspired action in the world while releasing our fixation on how things must turn out. This allows us to engage fully with our endeavors without the paralyzing fear of failure or disappointment. For example, when working on a creative project, focus on the joy of the process rather than the end result. Allow yourself to express your creativity without demanding a specific outcome. Letting go of the need to fix. In relationships, surrender invites us to release our need to fix or change others. We can offer support and compassion while honoring the autonomy and wisdom of those around us. This creates space for authentic connection and allows others to grow and evolve at their own pace. When conflict arises, practice listening without immediately jumping to solutions. Sometimes, the most powerful thing we can do is to simply be present with another's experience. Trusting life's rhythm. Develop a daily practice of reminding yourself that life has its own timing and flow. When you feel frustrated by delays or obstacles, take a moment to pause and breathe. Acknowledge that these challenges are part of life's natural rhythm and that they may be serving a purpose you can't yet see. Nature provides a beautiful example of this principle. Flowers don't force themselves to bloom, they wait for the right season. Similarly, trust that your goals and desires will unfold in their right time. Overcoming resistance to surrender. Our resistance to surrender often stems from a place of fear and ego. The ego seeks to maintain control as a way to preserve its sense of identity and security. It fears that surrendering means losing power or becoming vulnerable. But in reality, surrender is the ultimate act of courage and trust. To overcome this resistance, begin by examining your beliefs about control and strength. Ask yourself, how has my attachment to control served me, and in what ways has it limited me? What fears underlie my need for control? What might I gain by releasing my need to control every aspect of my life? Journaling can be a powerful tool for exploring these questions and tracking your journey towards surrender. Write about situations where your attempts to control outcomes led to frustration or anxiety, and reflect on what might have happened if you had surrendered instead. Embracing surrender as a spiritual practice. Surrender is not merely a technique for reducing stress or achieving success. It's a spiritual practice that invites us into a deeper relationship with life itself. It's an acknowledgement that we are part of something greater than ourselves, a vast, interconnected web of existence that operates according to its own divine principles. When we surrender, we align ourselves with these principles and become participants in the greater unfolding of life. We recognize that we are not separate from the universe, but an integral part of its continuous dance of creation and transformation. This realization brings with it a profound sense of peace, belonging, and purpose. The transformative power of surrender. The journey of surrender is a path of transformation. As we continue to practice releasing our need for control, we begin to experience profound shifts in our being. Increased resilience. By surrendering to life's natural flow, we develop greater resilience in the face of challenges. We learn to ride the waves of life rather than being overwhelmed by them. Deeper connection. Surrender invites us into more authentic relationships with others and with ourselves. When we release our need to control, we create space for genuine intimacy and understanding. Enhanced creativity. The energy previously consumed by worry and anxiety becomes available for creative expression. We become more open to inspiration and new possibilities. Greater joy. Living in alignment with life's rhythm allows us to experience joy in the present moment, unclouded by fear of the future or attachment to the past. Conclusion. Surrender is not an end, but a beginning, a portal to a more peaceful, authentic, and fulfilling way of life. It asks us to release our illusions of control and to trust in the wisdom of life's natural flow. By embracing surrender as a spiritual practice, we discover a strength that is not rooted in domination but in alignment, a strength that is resilient, adaptive, and profoundly liberating. The journey toward surrender is ongoing, requiring patience, compassion, and perseverance. It's a path that invites us to continually revisit our relationship with control, fear, and trust. With each step we take toward surrender, we move closer to a life of harmony, peace, and profound connection with all that is. Lesson 3. Anxiety belongs to tomorrow, peace belongs to. In the tapestry of Buddhist teachings, a thread that weaves through each lesson is the profound connection between our perception of time and our experience of peace. Central to this understanding is the recognition that anxiety, that gnawing feeling of unease about what might happen, is firmly rooted in the future, a future that doesn't yet exist. Conversely, peace, that quiet sense of contentment and stillness, resides in the present moment. This lesson invites us to explore the nature of anxiety, how it disconnects us from the present, and how mindfulness can bring us back to the peace that already exists within us. The nature of anxiety. Anxiety is a universal human experience. It manifests in various forms: worry about financial stability, fear of social judgment, stress over future uncertainties. At its core, anxiety is a mental projection into the future, a preoccupation with what might go wrong. It's a product of the mind's tendency to spin narratives about scenarios that haven't happened and may never happen. Buddhism recognizes that anxiety isn't merely an emotional response, but a cognitive process that distorts our reality. When anxiety takes hold, It pulls us out of the present moment and into a mental realm of hypotheticals and what-ifs. This mental time travel to the future creates a disconnect between where our minds are and where our bodies actually exist, right here, right now. The illusion of the future. The future, as a concept, is both necessary and illusory. It's necessary because planning and preparing for what lies ahead are essential for survival and growth. But it's illusory because the future, as we imagine it, doesn't exist in any tangible form. The future is a mental construct, a collection of thoughts and images that we assemble based on past experiences and current fears or desires. When we allow our minds to become consumed by this imagined future, we create suffering for ourselves. We suffer not from what is happening, but from what we fear might happen. We project our anxieties onto a blank canvas of time, painting scenarios that may never come to pass. In doing so, we rob ourselves of the present moment, the only place where life actually occurs. The power of the present moment. The present moment is the anchor of peace. It's the only time that truly exists. In this moment you are breathing, you are alive, and you are okay. The present moment is free from the narratives of the past and the fears of the future. It's a space of clarity, stillness, and possibility. Buddhist teachings emphasize that peace isn't something we need to search for externally. It's already within us, buried beneath the noise of our anxious thoughts. By returning to the present moment, we can uncover this nezadapingend and begin to experience life in a more authentic and fulfilling way. Mindfulness, the path to presence. Mindfulness is the practice of bringing our full attention to the present moment without judgment. It's about observing our thoughts, feelings, and sensations as they arise without getting caught up in them. Mindfulness is the antidote to anxiety because it breaks the cycle of mental time travel and grounds us in the reality of the here and now. Cultivating mindfulness in daily life. Mindfulness isn't just a meditation practice. It's a way of life. Here are some practical ways to cultivate mindfulness and return to the present moment. Mindful breathing. The breath is a powerful anchor to the present. When anxiety arises, bring your attention to your breath. Notice the sensation of the air entering and leaving your nostrils, the rise and fall of your chest. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back to the breath. This simple practice can be done anywhere, anytime, and can quickly ground you in the present. Sensory awareness. Engage your senses fully in whatever you're doing. When you're eating, really taste your food. Notice its texture, flavor, and aroma. When you're walking, feel the sensation of your feet touching the ground. Listen to the sounds around you. Observe the colors and shapes in your environment. By immersing yourself in your sensory experience, you bring yourself back to the present moment. Mindful pausing. Throughout your day, take brief pauses to check in with yourself. Stop what you're doing, close your eyes, and take a few deep breaths. Ask yourself, where am I? What am I doing? What am I feeling? This practice helps you break the autopilot mode that often leads to anxiety and reconnects you with the present. Letting go of judgment. Mindfulness involves observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. When anxiety arises, instead of labeling it as bad or trying to push it away, simply acknowledge it as anxiety and allow it to be present. By resisting or judging our anxiety, we often intensify it. Acceptance, paradoxically, can create space for it to dissolve. The neuroscience of mindfulness. Modern science supports the Buddhist understanding of mindfulness and its impact on anxiety. Studies have shown that regular mindfulness practice can reduce activity in the brain's default mode network, which is responsible for mind-wandering and self-referential thinking, processes closely linked to anxiety. Mindfulness increases activity in brain regions associated with emotional regulation and focus, helping us stay grounded in the present moment. Furthermore, mindfulness has been shown to decrease the production of stress hormones, like cortisol, and increase the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin, which are associated with well-being. This physiological shift helps explain why mindfulness can reduce anxiety and foster a greater sense of peace. The ripple effect of presence. The practice of mindfulness and presence doesn't just benefit us individually, it has a ripple effect on those around us. When we're present, we're better able to connect with others authentically. We listen more attentively, respond more thoughtfully, and create space for meaningful relationships to flourish. In workplaces, schools, and communities, the cultivation of presence can lead to more collaborative and harmonious environments. When we're not preoccupied with anxiety about the future, we can engage more fully with the tasks and people before us, leading to greater productivity and satisfaction. Overcoming obstacles to presence. Despite the benefits of mindfulness and presence, many obstacles can prevent us from fully embracing this practice. Here are some common challenges and strategies to overcome them. The busyness trap. Our modern lives are filled with distractions and demands that pull us away from the present moment. Work, technology, social commitments, all compete for our attention. To overcome this, establish dedicated times for mindfulness practice, even if just a few minutes a day. Create boundaries around your time to minimize distractions and prioritize presence. The judgment of the mind. The mind often resists mindfulness, labeling it as boring or unproductive. Recognize that this resistance is normal and part of the practice. When you notice judgment arising, acknowledge it without criticism and gently return to your focus on the present. The craving for control. Anxiety often stems from a desire to control outcomes. Mindfulness invites us to release this need for control and trust in the present moment. Remind yourself that presence doesn't mean passivity, but rather a deeper engagement with life as it unfolds. Embracing peace as a way of life. The journey toward presence and peace is not about eliminating anxiety entirely, but about developing a healthier relationship with it. Anxiety, like fear, can serve as a signal that something within us needs attention. By meeting anxiety with mindfulness, we can transform it from a source of suffering into a guide toward greater self-awareness. As we continue to practice returning to the present moment, we begin to experience life differently. We become more attuned to the beauty and richness of each moment. We find that peace isn't something we need to achieve, but something we can recognize and rest into, even amid life's challenges. Conclusion. Anxiety belongs to tomorrow, but peace belongs to now. By understanding the nature of anxiety and its connection to the future, we can begin to dismantle its hold on our lives. Through mindfulness and the cultivation of presence, we can return to the present moment, the only place where peace exists. This practice doesn't require grand gestures or profound changes. It asks only that we begin where we are, with this breath, this step, this moment. In doing so, we discover that peace has been with us all along, waiting patiently for us to notice it. Lesson 4. The burden of imagined fears. In the journey through Buddhist teachings, we arrive at a lesson that speaks to a universal human experience, the weight of imagined fears. This lesson delves into how our minds often burden us with anxieties about scenarios that exist only in our thoughts and may never come to pass. By exploring this concept, we can begin to free ourselves from the unnecessary suffering these imagined fears create and step into a more peaceful and present way of living. The weight of imagined fears. Our minds are powerful storytellers. They craft narratives about the future, painting vivid pictures of potential disasters, heartbreaks, and failures. These stories can feel so real that they evoke the same emotional response as actual events. We lose sleep over conversations that never happened, stress over outcomes that may never occur, and carry the weight of these imagined burdens through our days. The problem with imagined fears is that they distort our perception of reality. They pull us out of the present moment and into a mental realm of what-ifs and maybes. In this realm, we create suffering for ourselves based on possibilities rather than realities. We expend emotional and mental energy on scenarios that might never unfold, draining us of the vitality needed to engage fully with a life that is actually happening. The mind as a novelist. The human mind's capacity for imagination is both a gift and a curse. While it enables creativity, innovation, and problem-solving, it also gives rise to anxiety and worry. Our minds are constantly generating stories about the future, often with a negative bias. This negativity bias, from an evolutionary perspective, helped our ancestors avoid danger and survive. In the modern world, however, it can lead to chronic anxiety and stress. Think about how many times you've braced for a difficult conversation that ended up being fine, or worried about a situation that resolved itself peacefully. The storm we imagined rarely arrives as we pictured it, and often it doesn't come at all. This is the trap of worry. It creates suffering based on illusions rather than realities. The neuroscience of imagined fears. Modern neuroscience provides insights into why imagined fears feel so real. When we think about a future event, the brain activates many of the same regions that would be engaged if the event were actually happening. This is known as the simulation theory of imagination. Essentially, our brains simulate future scenarios using memories and emotions from past experiences. This simulation can trigger stress responses in the body, releasing hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Over time, chronic activation of these stress responses can have detrimental effects on our physical and mental health. It can lead to anxiety disorders, depression, weakened immune function, and a host of other issues. The imagined fears we hold in our minds can quite literally make us sick. Distinguishing reality from imagination. The practice of distinguishing between reality and imagination is central to releasing the burden of imagined fears. Buddhism teaches that just because a thought appears in our mind doesn't mean it deserves belief. Thoughts are mental events, not necessarily reflections of reality. We can observe them without becoming entangled in their narratives. Developing discernment. Developing discernment involves cultivating the ability to question our thoughts. When anxiety arises, we can ask ourselves, is this thought based on actual evidence, or is it a hypothetical scenario? Has this situation happened before, or am I creating it in my mind? What would happen if I didn't believe this thought? By consistently applying these questions, we begin to create space between us and our anxious thoughts, preventing them from automatically triggering emotional responses. The practice of letting go of imagined fears. Letting go of imagined fears is not about suppressing or denying them, but about releasing our attachment to them. It's about recognizing their nature as mental constructs and choosing not to give them power over our emotions and actions. Here are some practical ways to let go of imagined fears. Mindfulness and meditation. Regular mindfulness meditation helps us develop the capacity to observe our thoughts without becoming identified with them. By sitting quietly and focusing on the breath, we learn to witness the arising and passing of thoughts, including those related to imagined fears. We can then choose not to engage with these thoughts, allowing them to dissolve on their own. The what-if exercise. When confronted with an imagined fear, take a moment to explore it fully. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Then what's the best that could happen? Finally, what's most likely to happen? This exercise helps put the fear into perspective and often reveals that the worst-case scenario is highly unlikely. Visualization of release. Visualization can be a powerful tool for releasing imagined fears. Imagine gathering all your fears into a bundle and placing them on a raft. Then visualize pushing the raft away from the shore, watching as it drifts into the distance. This symbolic act helps create a mental shift and reinforces the intention to release these burdens. Embracing uncertainty. At the heart of letting go of imagined fears is embracing uncertainty. Buddhism teaches that uncertainty is an inherent part of life, and resisting it only creates suffering. By accepting that the future is unknown and that we can't control every variable, we free ourselves from the need to mentally prepare for every possible outcome. Uncertainty isn't something to be feared, but rather something to be welcomed as an opportunity for growth and discovery. When we embrace uncertainty, we open ourselves to new possibilities and experiences that we couldn't have imagined or planned for. The ripple effect of releasing imagined fears. Releasing imagined fears doesn't just benefit us individually, it has a positive impact on our relationships and communities as well. When we're not preoccupied with anxiety about the future, we can be more present and attentive to others. We become better listeners, more compassionate friends, and more engaged participants in our communities. In workplaces, schools, and families, the release of imagined fears can lead to more collaborative and harmonious environments. When we're not projecting our anxieties onto others, we can interact with greater authenticity and openness. Overcoming resistance to releasing fears. Our resistance to releasing imagined fears often stems from a place of self-protection. We believe that by worrying, we're preparing ourselves for potential challenges. We think that if we don't worry, we'll be caught off guard and unprepared. However, this belief is based on a misunderstanding of how preparation works. True preparation involves taking practical steps in the present moment, not mentally rehearsing every possible negative outcome. By focusing on what we can control in the here and now, we can prepare effectively without burdening ourselves with unnecessary anxiety. Cultivating a new relationship with fear. The journey of releasing imagined fears is not about eliminating fear altogether, but about developing a healthier relationship with it. Fear in its appropriate context serves as a valuable signal that something needs our attention. The goal is to discern when fear is a legitimate warning and when it's an imagined construct. When fear arises, we can pause, breathe, and ask ourselves if the threat is immediate and real, or if it's a product of our imagination. By doing so, we transform fear from a source of suffering into a guide that helps us navigate life more consciously. Conclusion. The burden of imagined fears is a heavy one, but it's a burden we can choose to release by understanding the nature of these fears, recognizing their impact on our well-being, and practicing mindfulness and discernment. We can free ourselves from the suffering they create. Embracing uncertainty and developing a healthier relationship with fear allows us to live more fully in the present moment, where peace, joy, and authentic connection await. Lesson 5. Control blocks faith. In the journey through Buddhist teachings, we arrive at a profound truth that challenges the very foundation of how we navigate life. Control blocks faith. This lesson invites us to examine the ways in which our attachment to control creates barriers to trust, and how releasing this need can open us to a deeper sense of faith, peace, and connection with life's natural flow. The illusion of control. We live in a world that equates control with safety and success. From a young age, we're taught to plan, prepare, and micromanage every aspect of our lives in the belief that doing so will shield us from harm and guarantee favorable outcomes. We cling to the illusion that we can orchestrate life according to our desires, often fearing that without our constant intervention, everything will fall apart. This illusion of control is a form of fear, a fear that without our guidance life will spiral out of control and lead to suffering. Yet this very attempt to control creates its own form of suffering. It traps us in a cycle of anxiety, tension, and fatigue, as we constantly strive to manage outcomes that are ultimately beyond our reach. Control versus faith. Opposing forces. Buddhism presents control and faith as opposites. Control is rooted in fear and separation. It assumes that we are apart from the universe and must assert our will to survive and thrive. Faith, on the other hand, is rooted in trust and interconnectedness. It recognizes that we are part of a greater whole and that life has its own wisdom and timing. When we prioritize control, we push faith aside. We refuse to believe that life can unfold in ways that are beneficial to us without our constant interference. We doubt the universe's ability to support us and instead take matters into our own hands, often creating more chaos than clarity. The consequences of control. Our obsession with control has several detrimental consequences. Chronic anxiety. The need for control generates constant anxiety. We worry about whether our plans will succeed, whether we've considered every possibility, and whether we're doing enough. This anxiety becomes a background noise in our lives, draining our energy and undermining our well-being. Missed opportunities. By focusing excessively on controlling outcomes, we become closed to opportunities that arise spontaneously. We're so fixed on our predetermined path that we fail to notice detours that might lead to greater fulfillment and growth. Burnout. The relentless pursuit of control is exhausting. It requires constant vigilance and effort, leaving us drained and disconnected from our true selves. Burnout becomes inevitable as we try to manage every aspect of life. Relationship strain. Control can damage our relationships. When we try to control others or situations, we create resistance and friction. We push people away by not allowing them the freedom to be themselves, and we miss out on the richness of authentic connection. Faith, a powerful alternative. Faith is not about blind belief or passivity. It's about trusting in the natural unfolding of life and recognizing that we don't have to have all the answers. Faith invites us to take inspired action while releasing our attachment to specific outcomes. It allows us to welcome mystery and uncertainty, understanding that they are integral parts of life's journey. Faith doesn't mean abandoning responsibility, but rather approaching life with a sense of openness and trust. It's like planting a seed. You prepare the soil, plant the seed, and water it, but you don't yank it from the ground to force it to grow. You trust in the natural process and allow time and conditions to do their work. The neuroscience of control and faith. Modern neuroscience offers insights into how control and faith affect our brains. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning and decision-making, is highly active when we're focused on control. This constant activation can lead to decision fatigue and stress. On the other hand, practices that cultivate faith, such as meditation and mindfulness, activate the parasympathetic nervous system, promoting relaxation and well-being. They reduce activity in brain regions associated with anxiety and increase activity in areas linked to emotional regulation and contentment. Cultivating faith in daily life. Shifting from control to faith is a practice that requires patience and persistence. Here are practical ways to cultivate faith in your daily life. Mindful surrender. Mindful surrender involves taking a moment to acknowledge your desire for control and then consciously releasing it. You can do this through a simple practice. When you notice yourself becoming anxious about an outcome, pause, take a deep breath, and silently say, "I release my need to control this outcome. I trust in life's wisdom." Daily reflection. End each day with a reflection on moments when you either exercised control or surrendered to faith. Where did I try to control today, and what was the result? Where did I practice faith, and how did that feel? What can I learn from these experiences? Letting go exercise. Identify one area of your life where you're holding on tightly to control. It could be a decision you're struggling with, a relationship dynamic, or a work project. Write about this area in your journal, expressing your fears and desires. Then, write a letter of release, stating your intention to surrender this area to the wisdom of life. Keep this letter somewhere visible as a reminder of your commitment. Trusting in the unseen. Faith asks us to trust in the unseen forces that shape our lives. This doesn't mean ignoring practical realities, but rather recognizing that there's more to life than what meets the eye. Many spiritual traditions speak of this unseen wisdom, whether as grace, karma, or the natural order of the universe. By trusting in the unseen, we create space for synchronicities and blessings to enter our lives. We become receptive to guidance that comes through intuition, coincidence, and the wisdom of others. We open ourselves to the possibility that life is on our side and that we don't have to navigate it alone. The ripple effect of faith. Cultivating faith doesn't just transform our individual experience, it has a profound impact on those around us. When we release our need for control, we create space for others to step into their power and wisdom. We become more collaborative, more trusting, and more connected in our relationships. In communities and organizations, faith fosters environments of creativity, innovation, and resilience. When members trust in the collective wisdom and natural flow of the group, they're more likely to take risks, support one another, and adapt to change with grace. Overcoming resistance to faith. Resistance to faith often stems from fear of the unknown and a sense of vulnerability. To overcome this resistance, acknowledge your fears. Take time to explore the fears that underlie your need for control. Write them down and examine them with curiosity rather than judgment. Understanding your fears can help you address them more effectively. Start small. Begin by surrendering control in small, manageable areas of your life. This could be something as simple as letting go of the need to plan every detail of a social gathering or trusting that a work project will unfold as it should. Small successes in releasing control can build your confidence in faith. Connect with a community. Surround yourself with people who understand and practice faith. Their support and perspective can help you navigate the challenges of releasing control and reinforce your commitment to this journey. Embracing the mystery of life. At its core, faith is about embracing the mystery of life. It's about accepting that we don't have all the answers and that we don't need to. It's about finding peace in the unknown and discovering that life's beauty often lies in its unpredictability. When we release our need for control, we open ourselves to a deeper connection with life itself. We become participants in a grand dance of existence. Moving with grace and trust, rather than fighting against the current, we find that peace and contentment aren't achieved through control but are revealed when we let go. Conclusion. Control blocks faith, but releasing control opens the door to a richer, more fulfilling life. By understanding the limitations of control and the transformative power of faith, we can begin to shift our approach to life. Through mindfulness, surrender, and trust, we can move from a place of fear to a place of faith, discovering that life is not something to be conquered, but something to be experienced with open hearts and minds. Lesson 6. Letting go enables growth. In the journey of exploring Buddhist teachings, we arrive at a lesson that speaks to the transformative power of release. Letting go enables growth. This lesson invites us to recognize how worry and fear of what might go wrong can subtly shrink our world, and how the act of releasing these burdens can open us to courage, creativity, and joy. The shrinking world of worry. Worry often begins as a quiet voice in the back of our minds, whispering caution and doubt. Over time, if we listen too closely to these whispers, they can grow louder and more insistent. We start to shrink our goals because they feel too uncertain, soften our voice because we fear judgment, and guard our heart because it's safer not to risk being hurt. Worry, under the guise of protection, becomes a cage that restricts our potential and confines us to a limited existence. This shrinking isn't always obvious. It happens gradually, almost imperceptibly, as we adjust our expectations and actions to avoid discomfort. We tell ourselves we're being careful, but in reality, we're allowing fear to dictate the boundaries of our lives. The river analogy, releasing to flow. Imagine standing in a rushing river, trying to cup water in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the faster the water slips through your fingers. But when you relax your hands and allow them to float, the river carries you forward. This is the essence of surrender. The more we release our grip on fear and worry, the more we allow life to move through us in its natural flow. Letting go isn't about passivity. It's about trusting that life has its own rhythm and direction. It's about recognizing that we don't have to force everything into being. Just as a river finds its course through the landscape, our lives can navigate their way forward when we stop damming the flow with fear and control. The courage to let go. Letting go requires courage. It asks us to step into the unknown, to release the security of familiar patterns, and to trust in something greater than ourselves. It's the strength to stop shrinking and to start living with an open heart. This courage is not about recklessness, but about calculated release. It's about knowing what truly belongs to us, our thoughts, choices, and actions, and releasing what we cannot control. It's about pouring the energy we once spent on worry into creation, connection, and trust. The expansion of release. When we let go, we create space within ourselves for new possibilities to emerge. Letting go is expansive. It invites growth, creativity, and joy into our lives. It's like opening a window in a stuffy room, allowing fresh air and light to flow in. By releasing fear, we make room for courage. By releasing doubt, we create space for confidence. By releasing control, we allow for spontaneous opportunities and unexpected blessings. Letting go isn't an ending, it's a beginning of growth and transformation. Practical steps to letting go. Letting go is not a passive act, but an active practice. Here are some practical steps to help you release worry and fear and embrace growth. Mindful awareness. Begin by cultivating awareness of when worry arises. Notice the physical sensations and emotional responses that accompany worry. By bringing mindful attention to these moments, you create space between the worry and your reaction to it. The letting go ritual. Create a tangible ritual to symbolize releasing your worries. This could be writing down your fears on a piece of paper and burning it, placing them in a journal and setting it aside, or visualizing releasing them into a flowing river. Rituals provide a powerful way to reinforce your intention to let go. Daily affirmations. Use daily affirmations to reframe your relationship with worry. Repeat phrases such as, "I release my fear and embrace the present moment. I have the courage to let go and trust in life's flow. I create space for growth by releasing what no longer serves me." Acts of creation. Channel the energy from worry into creative expression. Paint, write, dance, or sing. As a way to transform anxiety into something beautiful and tangible. Creativity is a natural antidote to worry. The ripple effect of letting go. Letting go doesn't just benefit you individually, it has a positive impact on those around you. When you release worry and fear, you create space for more authentic connections with others. You become more present, more engaged, and more available for meaningful relationships. In communities and workplaces, the practice of letting go fosters environments of trust and collaboration. When individuals release their need to control and worry, they contribute to a collective atmosphere of peace and creativity. Overcoming resistance to letting go. Resistance to letting go often stems from fear of the unknown or a sense of vulnerability. To overcome this resistance, acknowledge your fear. Take time to explore the fears that underlie your need to hold on. Write them down and examine them with curiosity rather than judgment. Understanding your fears can help you address them more effectively. Start small. Choose one area of your life where you can practice letting go. This could be something as simple as releasing the need to control a conversation or allowing someone else to take the lead in a project. Small successes in letting go can build your confidence to release more significant burdens. Seek support. Connect with others who understand the journey of letting go. Share your experiences and fears with trusted friends, family, or a community of like-minded individuals. Their support and perspective can help you navigate challenges and reinforce your commitment to growth. Embracing the journey of letting go. Letting go is not a one-time event, but a continuous journey. It's about developing a new relationship with worry and fear, one where you recognize their presence, but don't allow them to dictate your life. It's about choosing, moment by moment, to release what no longer serves you, and to embrace the present with openness and curiosity. As you continue to practice letting go, you'll discover that growth happens naturally when we stop shrinking from fear. You'll find that the energy you once spent on worry can be redirected toward creating, connecting, and living fully. You'll realize that freedom begins the moment you choose to let go. Conclusion. Letting go enables growth, a profound truth that invites us to release the burdens of worry and fear and step into a more expansive, joyful way of living. By understanding the shrinking nature of worry and practicing mindful release, we create space for courage, creativity, and connection to flourish. Letting go is not about weakness, but about strength, the strength to trust in life's flow and to embrace the unknown with openness and grace. Lesson 7. Life begins to flow when you step aside. In the final lesson of this exploration of Buddhist teachings, we arrive at a transformative truth. Life functions best when we stop trying to control every inch of it. This lesson invites us to recognize how our constant interference and need to micromanage can create resistance and chaos, and how stepping aside, with trust, allows life to unfold with its own wisdom and rhythm. The illusion of control. We live in a culture that equates control with safety and success. We're taught from a young age that we must plan, predict, and manage every aspect of our lives to achieve our goals and avoid failure. This belief in control is so ingrained that we often don't question it, even when it leads to stress, anxiety, and burnout. But control is largely an illusion. Despite our best efforts, life is inherently unpredictable. No matter how carefully we plan, unexpected events will always disrupt our carefully laid plans. The more we try to control every variable, the more frustrated we become when things don't go our way. The consequences of interference. Our constant interference in life's natural flow has several detrimental consequences: increased resistance and chaos. When we try to force outcomes or micromanage situations, we often create more resistance than flow. We push against the natural direction of events, causing friction and chaos. This can lead to conflicts in relationships, missed opportunities, and a general sense of frustration. Burnout and exhaustion. The energy required to constantly control and manage every aspect of life is exhausting. We become drained from the effort of trying to keep everything in check, leading to burnout and disconnection from our true selves. Missed opportunities. By being overly focused on our predetermined plans, we can miss out on spontaneous opportunities that might lead to greater fulfillment. Sometimes the best things in life happen when we're open to the unexpected. Loss of trust. Constant interference reflects a lack of trust in life's natural wisdom. It suggests that we don't believe life can work in our favor without our constant intervention, fostering a sense of separation and fear. The wisdom of non-interference. Buddhism teaches that by releasing the need to interfere, we make space for life to unfold with its own intelligence. This doesn't mean becoming passive or apathetic, but rather discerning what is truly ours to act upon and surrendering the rest. Life, in its natural state, has its own rhythm and direction. Just as a stream naturally finds its course through the landscape, your life can navigate its way forward when you stop damming it with fear and control. The practice of stepping aside. Stepping aside is an active practice of trust and release. It involves cultivating awareness. Begin by observing when you're clinging too tightly to outcomes or micromanaging situations. Notice the physical and emotional sensations that accompany this need for control, asking reflective questions. When you notice yourself interfering, ask, what would happen if I loosened my grip here? What's the worst that could happen if I stepped back? How might life surprise me if I allowed it to flow? Mindful surrender. Practice mindful surrender by taking a moment to acknowledge your need for control and then consciously releasing it. This can be as simple as pausing, taking a deep breath, and silently affirming your willingness to trust life's flow. The ripple effect of stepping aside. When we release our need to interfere, we create space for life to support us in unexpected ways. Opportunities arise from unforeseen places, solutions emerge without being forced, and we begin to feel carried by something greater than ourselves. This practice also has a positive impact on our relationships. When we stop trying to control others or situations, we create space for authentic connections and collaboration. Overcoming resistance to stepping aside. Resistance to stepping aside often stems from fear of the unknown or a lack of trust in life. Seek wisdom. To overcome this resistance, acknowledge your fear. Take time to explore the fears that underlie your need for control, write them down, and examine them with curiosity rather than judgment. Start small. Choose one area of your life where you can practice stepping aside. This could be something as simple as allowing a conversation to unfold naturally, or trusting that a project will progress without constant oversight. Connect with a community. Surround yourself with people who understand and practice trust in life's flow. Their support and perspective can help you navigate the challenges of releasing control. Embracing life's natural rhythm. Stepping aside invites us into a deeper relationship with life's natural rhythm. It's about recognizing that we're part of something greater than ourselves, and that life has its own timing and wisdom. When we embrace this rhythm, we discover that peace and fulfillment come not from controlling outcomes, but from aligning with the flow of life. We learn to dance with life rather than fighting against it. Conclusion. Life begins to flow when you step aside. A profound truth that invites us to release our need for control and trust in life's natural wisdom. By understanding the limitations of control and practicing mindful surrender, we create space for life to unfold in unexpected and beautiful ways. As we release our grip on life, we discover that we're not alone in this journey. Life supports us in ways we couldn't have imagined when we're open to its flow. We learn that freedom comes not from dominating life, but from dancing with it, allowing its rhythm to guide us toward peace, fulfillment, and authentic connection. In stepping aside, we find not only relief from anxiety, but also a deeper sense of belonging to the universe and its mysterious, beautiful unfolding. Conclusion. Life is not a battle to be won. As we reach the culmination of this exploration of Buddhist teachings, we're invited to embrace a transformative perspective. Life is not a battle to be won, but a rhythm to be danced with. This final lesson synthesizes the wisdom we've gathered, guiding us toward a life of clarity, peace, and deeper purpose by releasing the illusion of control and aligning with life's natural flow. The battle illusion. Our modern world often frames life as a series of battles against time, against others, against circumstances. We're taught to fight for success, to conquer challenges, and to never back down. But this metaphor of life as a battle creates unnecessary suffering. It pits us against life itself, fostering a sense of separation and struggle. Dance with life. Buddhism offers an alternative metaphor, life as a dance. A dance isn't about domination or control, but about rhythm, flow, and adaptation. When we dance with life, we move in harmony with its natural ebb and flow. We step when life steps, pause when life pauses, and spin when life spins. We don't force the dance, we feel the music and respond. The practice of alignment. Aligning with life's rhythm is a practice that requires presence, openness, and trust. Here's steps how to cultivate this alignment. Cultivate mindful presence. Mindfulness is the foundation of alignment. By staying present, we can sense life's rhythm and move with it. Practice mindfulness through meditation, mindful breathing, or simply by paying full attention to your daily activities. Release attachments. Attachment to outcomes creates resistance. Learn to take inspired action and then release your attachment to how things should unfold. Trust that life has its own wisdom and timing. Trust in life sips wisdom. Trust that life isn't happening to you, but for you. Even challenging experiences can be opportunities for growth and learning. Cultivate faith that life's unfolding is leading you exactly where you need to be. The freedom of non-attachment. Non-attachment isn't about indifference, but about healthy detachment. It allows you to engage fully with life without being consumed by fear of loss or failure. You can love deeply without fear of heartbreak, pursue goals without fear of failure, and live fully without fear of the unknown. The ripple effect of alignment. When we align with life's rhythm, we create positive ripples in our communities. We become sources of peace and inspiration for others. Our ability to flow with life invites those around us to do the same, fostering environments of collaboration, creativity, and mutual support. Overcoming resistance to alignment. Resistance to alignment often stems from fear of vulnerability or the unknown. To overcome this resistance, acknowledge your fears. Take time to explore the fears that keep you battling life. Write them down and examine them with curiosity rather than judgment. Start small. Choose one area of your life where you can practice alignment. This could be something as simple as releasing the need to control a conversation or allowing a project to unfold without constant oversight. Seek support. Connect with others who understand the journey of alignment. Share your experiences and fears with trusted friends, family, or a community of like-minded individuals. Embracing life sips dance. Embracing life as a dance requires a shift in perspective, a shift from viewing life as a series of challenges to be overcome to viewing it as a series of moments to be experienced. It's about finding joy in the movement itself, not just in reaching the destination. Life's dance will have moments of joy and sorrow, success and failure, smooth steps and missteps. But in each moment there's an opportunity to connect with the rhythm and move with grace. Final reflections. As you conclude this journey through Buddhist teachings, take a moment to reflect on how these lessons have resonated with you. Consider the ways in which you can continue to apply them in your daily life. Remember that the path isn't about perfection but about progress, about taking small steps toward greater alignment, peace, and joy. Life isn't a battle to be won through force and control. It's a dance to be experienced through presence, trust, and openness. By releasing the illusion of control and stepping into the flow of life, you discover a freedom that can't be found on any battlefield, a freedom that allows you to live fully, authentically, and with profound connection to all that is. May these teachings continue to guide you as you dance with life, one breath, one step, and one moment at a time.